Well, we're back making Scrappy pouches for the 2025 challenge here at Icky Chic Designs. And as you know, I've done two already that are finished, and this is my third one. And I showed you these two fabrics in the last video that I was going to use. I put the strips on the end of each end of this fabric to make it longer, so when I folded it over I would be able to get the burlap bag in it and make a pretty good sized pouch out of it. Okay, I just simply stitched it onto each side with the running stitch here that you can see. All right, same way up here on this one. Then I took and I did just a double row of running stitch down the side. The burlap bag was already sewn, of course, but just to put the fabric on the bag, I went ahead, came in some from the edge and just put a double row out there, okay, on both sides. Now this one right here, as you can see here, I had this fabric and I cut the motifs out, the leaves and the little flower part, and then I fit them together and I sewed them on and just put a little overcasting stitch to keep them on. But I thought that was very pretty, and it blends so well it almost looks like part of the original fabric that had these beautiful leaves on it. Okay, when I folded the fabric, I couldn't get the main leaf to fall, you know, like I would have liked it to, because it just wasn't printed that way, so, or woven that way. So I just did that to supplement it. Then I put a piece of this pink fabric that I had that had this little fuzzy, it was part of a scarf fabric and it had this little fuzzy part in it, and I put a strip of that across where I sewed these two together. Put that on, and then I couched down some eyelash trim that had the green and blues in it that I thought would blend pretty with the green and blues here. And now I am sewing on some ruffles that I cut off of a blouse. You can see where I cut that off. Okay, and I'm gonna have to trim that up some, but I thought, well, that's a pretty color and it goes kind of good with this right here. So I thought I'd just run that on both sides of the lower section here. And I did wrap it around, and I'm in the process of sewing that down right now. I'm doing just a little back stitch here to get this on, and then I will be coming back and sewing a lower part. I don't want it just too loose, because you know how that is. Things that are too loose get really tore up fast. So I want to get it down pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to have enough thread to finish right here, but we'll see. I'm not going all the way through to the other side. I've got enough thickness there that I can just sew on this top side here, same way I did on the back side for that one. Okay, I may get this one last stitch right there. Let's see if we can tie this off right here on the top. you know what, you have to be a contortionist sometimes when you sew, don't you? You have to turn things every which way but loose, but you turn every which way but loose too. I guess that's how I'm getting my exercise in my old age. Here we go. Let's see, do I have enough to get in there? Keep it on the needle. Made it. Okay. That's just a little tiny knot and another little thread. Who will know the difference, huh? Okay. That has been sewn down to the front and back on this side. Dragging everything with me here. Okay, now I think what I'm going to do, let me thread up my needle here. Okay, got that. Give me a little knot going here. Straighten the thread out. There we go. I think what I'm going to do is go down here and then come down this bottom edge and go ahead and sew this down because I don't necessarily want it being fringy like that. Or do I? Could come down the center, but then that would make that pop up. I don't want that either. I think what I'll come do is just come and tack that. Okay, let's put this under here and hide that knot. Okay, whoops, don't want it going that far up. There we go. Okay, I'm going to fold that. Just going to secure this part right here good. So it will definitely stay in place. And I'm using a back stitch to do that. Right down to the very edge down here. And now, I'm thinking I'm just gonna how am I gonna do this? I need to work it from the other side so that I can put my hand inside the bag. I think that will work. So I will just run this needle over to the edge and then run it through to the other side. Run it down this one. I probably could have just come through at that angle. But anyway, here we are. Now, what am I going to do here? I'm going to I'm going to just do what? I don't know what I want to do here. You know what? I'm going to do a little overcast stitch, I think. I think I will just do that. Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? Let me grab a little tool here. Let's see. Whoops, sorry about that. I moved you. I have this cardboard that sometimes, if I don't want to sew into a back layer, I'll run it in. I'll run it inside so that I can sew through the front layer without worrying about sewing the whole thing together. You can feel the cardboard and come up. And that way you're not sewing your front to your back when you don't want to. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work some of these little ruffles. And I'm going to get them attached. Yeah. Work them over as I sew. Kind of spread them out, tack them down more or less. You don't have to do something like this, but you know, I just think that it will hold up better, last longer if I don't have these ruffles just flopping in the wind, more or less. We'll see. They're looking pretty good. Just kind of let them lay where they would naturally want to lay when you press them down, and then just tack them in place. Okay. And if you've got a piece of cardboard like I do, it sure makes the job easier. You know, my dad used to say, and my husband always says, get the right tool for the right job. And if you don't have it, go get it. Or you can't do it correctly. If you don't have the right tool, you can't do it correctly. So I've always improvised myself. If you've watched my quilting program, several people have asked me about the how and why I use a skewer, and I show how I use a skewer when I'm sewing on a flat surface. And you know, I've always invented my tools when I needed them to make things simpler and easier. So I hope some of these little tools and tips help you. I like that. It still has the look of ruffles, but the ruffles are positioned now that they can stay in place. It's a little tedious, a little time consuming, but for me it's worth it. Gives it that finished feel that I like to have. That now I should be able to just turn this over, get my cardboard positioned well. Okay, that worked. We'll just come around the corner here like we know what we're doing. Okay, first ruffle down. Having a little longer needle sure helps too. I'm using a milliner's needle. And they're pretty long needles. Okay, I think you get the idea of how we're going to be doing that. I'm going to finish this one, then I'm putting the one on the other side. And I'm going to put something up there. Let's see what I got in my drawer up here that might work. There's something of that color. You know what? I think that's going to be it. I mean, I can't get any better color than that. Let's see what else might be in here. I don't see anything else in there. Let me get out my second drawer of doodads here and see what's in that, what I might have. Ooh, that's pretty, but that's too purple. Okay. That's kind of pretty, but that's really not big enough. Let's see what else I have. I'm gonna have to make something purple because I got a lot of purples in here. Isn't that a pretty purple? Okay. I got blues, I got purples, I got pinks. That's kind of interesting. What else do I have? Well, really, I don't have anything else in here that will work. So it's going to be that one. Okay, that's the one it's going to be. I will be getting this on, then I will be putting that on, and we will then be calling that done. I'll let you see what that looks like when I'm totally finished, okay? Let's stay scrap happy and do these pouches. We're going to love them, and we can work on them all year, and you know what? They'd be great gifting items. So throughout the year, if you wanted to gift one, tuck a little something extra in it and gift the whole thing. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Okay, let's all stay very scrap happy. Okay, I just wanted to add this section to show you my finished piece. Now, I did change this element up here. I decided I didn't like that much of the pink showing. I didn't want the rose or the pink color to be the predominant color. I liked the greens and blues with the accent of these other colors. And so sometimes you have to make those adjustments. You'll be working along and you think, well, I started out with this color theme and I really like that. And all of a sudden I've got this other color that's taking over. It's bullying all these other colors and just taking over. So I got to get rid of some of that. So that's what I did. I got the little bully out and I put in a different one that worked and played well with all the other players here. And I still just have enough of this color that I really like how it accents the greens and blues. Again, I just wanted to show you the finished piece. I did sew all this down. I put the eyelash trim along here and ran it up the side here. Both of these trims are run up. That's all the embellishments that's on the back side. And then I added this little fabric snippet. That's all that is just little pieces of fabric put in a little cluster. And so it's sewn on there, and then the bag is ready to go. All right, but would you like a preview of what's coming next? Okay, let me show you. I have two very beautiful fabrics here. Aren't these gorgeous? Again, these are upholstery fabric remnants that were given to me. And I think this is a beautiful combination. Now, this gave me a kind of an elegant feel. So I wanted to make something to go on this as an embellishment. So what I did was I made this little piece here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it or incorporate it, but I think it plays well with these two fabrics and it keeps the elegant air going on. Again, these are just little scraps that I watercolored, little scraps of fabric, and then a little trim here that was also gifted to me. A little piece of sheer fabric here. And these pieces were sewn onto just white linen, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is a little tip here in case this is important to you. I wanted to do just some rows of stitching, but I wanted them to be very uniform, little stitches that grew in length and grew in space as they went down, but very gently, very uniformly. Just free-handed that. I like to say I'm that good of a stitcher, but I'm not, to keep everything really nicely in line and the same size and spaced and all that. So a tip that I do when I want to do stitching that is important to me, that it be very linear and that it be very precise, is I use a piece of Aida cloth. Just a scrap of cross-stitching Aida cloth. In this case, I believe this is a 12 count point, and that way Aida cloth has its own grid, so you can just use it. And I stitch from this side. I use the Aida cloth and I stitch from this side using the grid, and it allows it to come out on the back side very nicely. Okay. All right. Be sure that when you're doing that, that you go down straight, that you make the full length and come up. Otherwise, you will distort some of your stitches on this side. But the Aida cloth is really handy. It's a nice weight anyway, and it sews beautifully. So just doing your slow stitch on top of it, or your embroidery, whatever you want to do is just fine. It just makes a nice backing. And if you have just a piece like I did, it's just perfect. And so that is going on. Now when I actually go it on, I'm going to put a little additional something trim in a couple of places where I want to cover some of the end stitches, for instance, or I just want to attach it. May do some couching, some yarn around it, something like that. But I wanted to show you what's coming up next, and I believe that's going to be a beautiful combination right there, don't you? All right, I'm looking forward to that. So I am 3 pouches into this challenge for this year, and let me see what my count is here on this. Let me get my paper out. Okay, where's my paper? There it is. Okay. I named this one Willow Rose is what I named it. That kind of covered the greenery and the splash of color. Willow Rose is what it's named. Now I had 6 points when I added it up. I can't remember all of what it was, but it was 6 points when I added up the different elements that I had put in here. Okay. So you can see I seem to be hanging around 6. My first one had 7, then the second one 6, and the third one 6. So I don't, I'm going to have to work hard at getting above 6 or 7 here, but we'll see. But however that works for you, whether 2 or 3 works for you, or 10 works for you, or whatever, we're just going to add up all of our count at the end of the year and see what our count is, not for a winner or a loser, but just to see how many elements that we use throughout a whole year in all of these pouches. It'll be just fun to see what our numbers are at the end of the year. Okay, so that's number 3. This one coming up will be number 4. Okay, so stick with me and let's stay very scrap happy with this Scrappy Pouch Challenge.